Sunrise. Did I call it a sunset again? Watch that sunrise. I think let's head down to the dam, see what the commotion is. The geese are shouting. There's been a Franklin that's been complaining. Oops. Well, I heard news that both Karula and Safari were down south, close to Baboon Pan. They were a couple of 100 yards away from each other. Safari evidently killed something at Baboon Pan, so I don't know if we'll get to see her. Yeah, it would be a first. But I think we'll go down that way anyway. Just have a look, see what there is. Baboon Pan, which is just across our southern boundary from Twin Dams. Morning, Peg. Are you going all the way to Twin Dams? Are you going all the way down to Twin Dams? Okay, copy. We will do something else then. Have a look at. Oh my, there's. It looked like a darter. There's probably a reed cormorant. Probably looked like a darter because the way it's holding its neck. An interesting bird to have coming into Gowrie Dam. Just flying over. coming around for a second take. I'm sure it'll land. We don't have cormorants here very often. Cormorant did a few turns around the dam. It seems to have flown off now. It looks like it's heading up and towards Buffelshoek. I think something discouraged it from landing here. And that Egyptian goose is not happy about something. We'll carry on towards Central Road and see what it might be. Might be something up near the lodge. There are no tracks around here of anything that's likely to be upsetting a goose. Nothing on the other side of the dam either. Well, maybe we'll come by later and see if there's any change. We'll head east a little bit before we turn south. See what we can find. Friday the 13th. It's a little bit misty. The horror scene set for this maniac to come, or rather a zombie to come stumbling out of the bushes. Cliched. What else could it be? Thinking of the horrors of the movie. What was it? Did you ever see the movie Friday the 13th? Wasn't that the Freddy Krueger character? I don't think I ever saw it. I was never much of a horror movie person. Or was that Nightmare on Elm Street? Anyways, no nightmares here. Touch wood. Good morning, Ed. How are you this morning? Ed wants to know about the African black-footed cat. Have we ever seen it here on Wild Earth Safari? Ed, not only have we not seen it on Wild Earth Safari, in all my life of I've never seen a black-footed cat, never in all my years and all the places that I've lived.
Yeah, no, I'm actually.
Wrong channel if you want someone. Uh-huh. Interesting. We'll have to make our way west soon. Evidently some lion tracks on Vuurtele Access Road. Yeah, that's the dilemma I face every morning I come out. Which way do we go? Knowing that the opposite direction to where I am going is likely to have something that's going to make me wonder why I didn't go in that direction in the first place. But we have an equal chance of finding things, and we're on Central Road at the moment. I'm going to take Vulture's Nest and head south, go down towards Spaghetti Junction. Didn't see any lion tracks close to the lodge. Didn't hear it. Sorry, Franklin, I disturbed you this morning. Didn't hear anything last night. But then, I think if an elephant was pushing trees over next to me, I wouldn't have heard it. Morning, Sandy. Thanks for your question. Sandy wants to know about the Mapojos. And you know, I was talking to Tristan from Chitwa last night. And I was getting all these updates of all the things that they've seen down on Chitwa, Little Gowrie. Safari's been down there. Karula's been down there. And we were talking about, we're actually having quite a long discussion, and there was like so much information that I wish I could have retained it all, because it sounds like there's been a lot going on. So to answer your question about the health and status, and the whereabouts of the Mapojos, can't remember. I know that there are only 3 Machingolans running around at the moment. They evidently killed another lioness somewhere down on Chitwa. I'm not too sure who. But yeah, I think next time I need to write these things down. We were talking about the coalitions. There are so many coalitions of males that are putting so much pressure on other lion that's quite a unique phenomenon. I know where have I ever lived that I've been in a place that has so many male lion coalitions and such big coalitions, and there's a group of 8 and there's another group of, well, there was a group of 12 and they've split up to 4 and 8. 11 sub-adults up in Manyaleti. There are just so many groups that these guys are talking about. It was mind-boggling. But no, I couldn't tell you where everyone is, where they all are. Of course, anything we might have learned yesterday would be different today, because they change places all the time. They don't stay in the same place. Surrey's Road. Leopard tracks going north. That could be, well, I guess it could be anybody, but it could be Karula. Yes, Franklin, I know I gave you a fright, I'm sorry. Franklin's worst nightmare. Friday the 13th, when the Land Rover comes along on a cold, misty morning. Still complaining. Spikethorn flowering. Can't smell it yet. Okay, some hippo tracks. Nothing moving around on this part of the world. We're back on Twin Dams Road, and we're now heading south. Go and investigate Baboon Pan, Twin Dams. So far, not much in the way of activity this morning. It is rather chilly. A little bit of few streaks of cloud. I don't know if we've got the weather change on the way. Whoa. It's like the world stood still last night. Not even the usual hyena tracks on the road. See a kingfisher here at the dam. I haven't seen kingfisher here at Twin Dams before. More than likely are going after tadpoles. I don't think there are any fish here. I don't know if we're going to get to see it. It's behind some bushes now. It's the pied kingfisher. And that could have been a grey. rather greenback heron that just flew away down towards Baboon Pan. Excuse me. Crocodile's been up and down again. Hyena. Trying to find a track. I'd say it looks like a crocodile could have gone back to the dam, to Baboon Pan rather. I don't know what I was expecting. I don't know whether I was expecting to see something here out in the open or whether I was expecting to. I suppose that's just it. I was expecting at least something. But then, not necessarily. Rather, not always the case that a leopard will stay where it was. Also could have been further south into the property. Be quiet in this end. Tracks, baboon tracks going south. There are leopard tracks there, heading west actually. Onto Firebreak. Coming out of Baboon Pan and heading diagonally across Gary Main. But I guess that might have even been Karula heading up and then eventually getting to Zoe's Road. Lion. That's probably the lion that Tara found at Chelapan. Lion coming into the property here. That is the track of a male. I don't see anything further up on Twin Dams Road, but it's still, I think it's still a little bit too coincidental that there were tracks at Chelapan heading north, and he had some tracks coming in on Twin Dams heading north. Must be the same cat. And eventually, there was also talk of the, who was it? I think it was the Machinga lions that killed a wildebeest. That's the one ahead, further west. On this. Amazing how out of touch one can be just from a day or two of not being out and driving, and how much can change, even though there's not really that much difference every day. Every now and then there are visitors that come through our part of the world that we might not see them, but we'll see their tracks. And it can be throw one off, especially having the likes of big male lion tracks and then knowing that there weren't any found lion, I mean. I want to see if we can pick this up. Very, very small. This is like one of the miniature hibiscuses, but there are no flowers on it. Yeah. Or dwarf hibiscus. As you can see, it's a member of the cotton family. Its seeds are a little bit fluffy, but there's an interesting insect that I want to show you. You see those little red things?
Yeah. What are they?
And here's another family of them here. Those are called cotton stainer bugs. Because they, well, as with all bugs, and I'm talking about bugs, not an actual family of insects known as bugs, you can almost make out their proboscis. It's like a long straw for a mouth. They don't have biting mouth parts, they just have this sort of long straw at the end of their face. Excuse me. And they will pierce the growing seed case through that cottony substance and they will only attack members of the cotton family, the Malvaceae, before the seeds are dry, when the seeds are still developing. And a fungus can develop as a result of it, and the fungus itself stains the cotton. And for any of those here, that one, almost see that little black head of, they have the beautiful colors, these bugs, very typical danger or warning colors, the red and the white and the yellow and the black, aposematic coloration that tells things that they're not tasty, that they should be left alone. But in the cotton industry, they are the bane of the cotton farmer's life. Cotton stainer bugs, because they do stain the cotton. As a result of their feeding and a fungus developing, that fungus turns the cotton brown. And they're social insects. They live in family groups. You often find more than one together. And sometimes you'll find different ages. Those are all youngsters. They haven't got their wings yet. They eventually grow wings as adults. Different parts of the world, people just have a generic term for insects. They call them bugs, but there are actually, one thinks about it, about 30 different types of insect, of which the bug is only one type of insect. You can't call mosquitoes bugs because they're flies. You can't call beetles bugs because they're beetles. I've even heard spiders referred to as bugs. I've heard cicadas referred to as grasshoppers when in fact they're bugs. Cicada, however you will pronounce it. So let's see what there is. Weaver's nest, hyena tracks, fresh hyena tracks, a couple of buffalo. Let's check on Gary Main again. Hyena were busy, quite a lot of hyena tracks here. No sign of a cat though. interesting. Definitely cat tracks coming out of Baboon Pan.
3. Yeah, confirm I'm on first. Are you on second place? Copy.
Okay, I'm not too sure who that is. Question coming in. If you could spell it for me. Ian. Ian, morning. Morning, Ian. Asking if we are connected to any research. Unfortunately not. Any research that is normally done by universities and education institutions of sorts. So I can't say that we are. We are more sort of entertainment broadcast medium, so we don't get involved in actual research. I think it's also, when it comes to research, and especially kind of wildlife research that I think that you're referring to, we're talking about 24-hour-a-day dedication to a particular subject, and the kind of time that we have to apply to anything would be minimal, and it wouldn't really have that much specific when it comes to research. Aha, I see somebody using a cart to push the strange tracks in the road. I mean, I suppose we could contribute what we see and things, but Ian's also asking if we record anything, and once again, the answer there is only what we with archives, I hope, coming back, or if it's not back already, we have a record of what we've seen and what we've spoke about and where we've seen it, but we don't really keep any actual hard copy records of anything. So my answer there, Ian, is pretty much no to what you've been asking. We don't really record stuff, we don't really assist in any research. We do keep track of territories, but only in the day-to-day lives of the animals that we see and knowing where we see them. We have such a small area that we cover. The ladies of, some of the ladies of Wild Earth Safari, ladies who've been with us for a long time, record stuff. Sneeze again. I've got an itchy nose because I couldn't sneeze. I'm supposed to look at the sun. But Pat and Janet put together a weekly list of the cats and predators that have been seen and any other unusual sighting. But we don't have a central database. We don't have a central file, as it were, where everything is kept. Perhaps something to think about, something to work on. We're almost a Treehouse Dam, by the way. There's the lily trotter. Oh, there goes the lily trotter. In Jacana. Beautiful light for the Jacana this morning. The lily trotter's got an interesting lifestyle, actually. Yeah, it kind of reverses the tables, or reverses the typical arrangement that we know of, or rather that is more common in nature, whereby male dominance over a group of females seems to be quite prevalent amongst different species. But for the lily trotter, it's different. For the lily trotter, it's the female that has several males, and she leaves the eggs and the chicks for him to look after. So he attracts a female by creating an area or making a nest. She'll come along, lay the eggs, and leave him to incubate them and go off and find another male. A term that we call polyandrous, multiple husbands. That's why we can make out those exceptionally long toes of the Jacana, a particular feature of the bird that allows them to walk along floating vegetation. Very long toes that distribute their weight. Almost like, I guess, the principle of snowshoes. In this case, to walk along the vegetation. The hippo's moved on from Treehouse Dam. Seen his tracks around, but maybe he's gone back to Gowrie Dam. I think we'll make our way towards Gowrie Dam. Let's try and get to the open area and have a look there. I don't think anybody was there this morning. We started almost at Gowrie Dam. And see what was going on up on the open area. Karula's cubs. Cub tracks. And I did hear a hippo tracks too, leading away from the dam. But I did hear a francolin earlier. I'm wondering if this could also be where she came and headed up to Zoe's Road. There were leopard tracks on Zoe's Road. Those leopard tracks could have been in Duna from the other night. Finally coming out onto the road. But this looks quite fresh. Signs of Karula and children. Sorry, Sabonga didn't copy that. Maybe just give it, no, it's breaking up too much. Maybe try again in 2 minutes. Where did she go from here? Let's go up Philemon's cut line a little ways and see if we can see if the tracks came out there. Otherwise, back to Philemon's dip. Doesn't look like she came this way. Oh, excuse me. Well, there are tracks from Karula and Cubs coming up from Treehouse Dam. I'm just trying to find them on Philemon's cut line. Hi, Lex. I don't see you on Philemon's cut line. There we go. Heading west. Looks like she went west.
I did have a check of a script. I just small email though, and then
Okay, copy. We know where the hippo went. The one that was at the dam. Heading this way. Probably headed to Gowrie Dam after this. Morning.
Good day, sir.
Morning all.
How are you today?
Good, and you?
Lovely morning.
Is
Yeah.
a little bit chill. Looks like she came out onto Philemon's cut line, but I think she must have crossed.
With
And
the
that,
cats, eh?
yeah, well, she was coming up with the cubs from the dam, but I only
Yeah.
saw one set of tracks here on Philemon's cut line. But I think if she crossed through, take a straight line, and she's done that before,
Yes.
it'll bring her out to that Torchwood, almost.
Yeah. Did you hear what happened last night?
No?
She had a confrontation with safari female.
Oh yeah, yes, that I did hear. Down a
Yeah.
baboon pad.
Yes.
Was it
yeah,
south
yeah.
of that? Evidently Safari made a kill and they weren't too happy with each other.
Yeah.
Yes.
Karula chased her up into a tree.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah.
So much for being amicable to your mother.
Yeah.
Yes. Well,
Okay.
have a nice morning. Have you come across quarantine at all?
I came across the middle part and then turned down and went along that
The western
low
edge.
road, that western road, because we had line tracks coming in there.
Yeah,
But the line tracks had crossed into Zimbabwe.
Mbili. Oh, there were also mail tracks that came in from Twin Dams and headed up north along.
That was yesterday.
Yeah. Yeah. But do you think they'd actually just stay on this property for a day?
No, they just walked through. Okay.
Take care. Have a lovely day. Bye. So, I'm going to do a loop around, maybe try and find out where she went to. But we are not concentrating only on Karula, we're trying to find anything we can this morning. Morning to Ian again. I think I got that question. What migrant species of birds are missed the most in the winter months? Well, I think the one is, of course, the woodlands kingfisher. I mean, the woodlands, that sound of the woodlands kingfisher is a summer sound. It's almost like there's something missing without them here. The swallows, the swifts. Which one I missed the most? It's a difficult question. The baboon tracks from last night. Step buzzards. Have a bit of Steppe buzzards can be everywhere at times. You always see a steppe buzzard when you're driving along the main roads. They're always on a telephone pole or a power line or a fence post. And I suppose the woodlands kingfisher, I've always had a close, or rather a fondness for them for other reasons. One being that I raised a couple of kingfishers once. Once upon a time. So there's always this little bond that I have with woodlands kingfishers. But then even the cuckoos are fun to have around. Just the migrants in general. The lion came in and they went to Simbambili. That's Sharon. Sean. Franklin's in the quail and pheasant family. See, now we looked at that the other day and I've forgotten already. Yeah, pretty much. Didn't bring my books this morning for some reason. Franklin's. I'll have to take a rain check on that one. We'll look it up. Either that or my brain will somehow suddenly remember it. I'm trying to think of the family name that the Franklins belong to. But I think they are pheasant family. A question from Elizabeth earlier that I couldn't hear. And Tiger Man, morning to you. Tiger Man. How did I get into this? Yeah, we go. Debatable, it's more Karula and Cubs tracks, but debatable whether it's not from the other day when they were here. I think so. There's a bit too much sand inside the toe prints. And then lion. Africa for some time, coming back to South Africa only once a year. But it didn't last long because I couldn't stay away from elephants. I couldn't stay away from the bush. I needed bush. I was looking at drag marks. Remember those drag marks the other day? Yeah, they are. Those two hoof marks. The same drag marks that came from Sydney's dam that ended up at the hyena den. There are leopard tracks all over the place and there are lion tracks all over the place here, but they're all a little bit old. We're going to go up towards Sandy Patch. See what's up there. So there I was in the Cape, and I was looking to come back to the bush, and I wasn't really keen on getting back into a game lodge type situation, the tourism industry. I needed something else. I needed something different, and this was the perfect. It was just being in the right place at the right time, and needing something to kickstart my life again, and this was the perfect thing. Allowed me to get back into the bush in ways that are more ways than I wanted, because I found that after time, managing camps or lodges doesn't really put one in the bush. And you spend all your time in the lodge, in the camp. Hello, Mr. Elephant. At least 2 Ellies in here. Make it 3. Just heard a branch break elsewhere. Pretty dense in there. That makes 4. A female walking through the bush beam, and a calf makes 5, 6. A small flamboyant love on Boetela Access Road, east of Aubrey's Road. They're going to come and talk to us. They're lovely bull, this. Not that very big one you saw yesterday. A tall gentleman. They all seem to be moving east, and they might eventually get to. Gonna just move up to Sandy Patch, have a look around there. These ellies are all in very, very thick bush. I'm gonna let them move around a little bit. Oh wait, there! Look, there's a monster. No, we can't go anywhere right now. There is a monster in there. Monster of an elephant. He's huge, he's massive, he's big, he's giant, could be the one that you saw yesterday, I don't know, but let's just see. We can see, I'm just looking at his tusks, about as thick as my thigh. See if he might not come out. But we may just have to go and wander around a little bit and try and catch up with them a little later. There's not much getting in here. There's nowhere to get in at all. And there's not much of a view of him, or any of them for that matter. Just trying to think, do you remember where you saw those elephants yesterday?
Just west of Chelapan.
That's right, yeah, this Chelapan way. There's a fair sized group in here. Big bull. I don't know whether he's taking a rest or he's dozing off or something. Okay, well, let's take a ride up to Sandy Patch. We're not too far away. I'm just going to have a look for some leopard tracks and see what else is up there. I really want to see this guy. Sure. Open patch among some of the terminalia, the silver cluster leaf, but it doesn't get us to see him, or any of them for that matter. Yeah. Promise, we'll be coming back to them shortly. Unless, of course, we find a polar bear or something. Lion tracks. When I see them I get a bit excited, but now it's a bit disappointing knowing that they have crossed over. We're not going to get to see them. They're all over the place. The road's covered in them. They must have been sleeping here on the road last night. Up and down. Walking up and down. And then suddenly they got a bee in their bonnet and went south, west. Looks like the wildebeest have been here, the ones that are missing. Fresh rhino dung in the midden. Morning, Impala. Where are the cats? Looking at another Impala, perhaps. Fresh rhino track. It's from the rhino that's just been scratching in that midden. But he's gone through, he might have crossed as well. Nobody but buffalo. Termite mound. Oh, stop. Don't go anywhere, please, little mongoose. We've seen dwarf mongoose on this very termite mound. We've had a whole colony of them. This is a slender mongoose. We don't get to see them very often because they're so quick and they run across the road, and all we see is the little black tip to their tail disappearing. And you're doing the baboon thing, the monkey swaying movement. Oh. Ducked in. It's a youngster, it's not an adult. It's not a very small one. I mean, it's probably considerably bigger than a dwarf mongoose already, but it's still a youngster. This is a truly memorable thing to be able to sit with a slender mongoose. In some places that I've lived, they get used to you, or used to people around the camp, and you can get to see one or two over time, and you get used to individuals. But generally speaking, no matter where you are in the country, in fact, in sub-Saharan Africa, this is probably one of the most widely distributed mongoose species there are, and it is a solitary species. And I'm thinking that this might be a youngster whose mother is somewhere off hunting already. Normally a youngster that age would be out with its parents, with its mother rather. In proportion, the slender mongoose is about twice as long as that of a dwarf mongoose. An exceptionally long tail. If you remember, dwarf mongoose got a very short, stubby tail. Slender mongoose, a very long tail with like a lion, black tuft of hair in the tip of the tail. I'll move a little closer, maybe it's going to pop its head out again. There we go. I think as long as we're this close, it might not show up. Let me move back again. See if it might not just say hello again. I'd like it to come out and maybe get a view of its whole body. Go on, climb up to the top. Now the dwarf mongoose have the advantage of having lookouts. Very much like the surrogates and the banded mongoose, those social species that have the advantage of having family members to help look out for danger. When you're a solitary species like this, you're naturally nervous, naturally cautious. I have to be honest, the swaying action that it's doing is unusual. I haven't seen slender mongoose do that before. I've seen primates do it. Primates do it so that they can get a more of a three-dimensional impression of what their surroundings are. Can we see your tail now, please? It's got. Oops. Oh, there we go. Now I'm gonna have to wait until it calms down again. But it's got very fast, jerky movements. That are quite typical of any of the small predators. But it's almost like a glazed look in its eye when it's doing that side to side movement, and I just think it's unusual. So I'd like to just sit and wait a minute, and we'll see if we can get a better look at him or her. Meanwhile, the elephants should be coming out of the bushes soon. Hello. Come on then. Come on then. Come on then, climb up there. See that tail of yours. You see, when it moves like that and then suddenly it looks unsteady, then that makes me think that it's not all right with that brain. But then it does these fast, jerky movements and that looks fine. With the 1,000-yard stare in its eyes as well. I'm sure it's fine. It's just looking out for danger. No, as an adult, it'll be considerably bigger, longer than that. It's only about 2/3 its full size, and already twice the size of a dwarf mongoose. Go on, go on, go on. It's safe. I'm watching out for you. Oh. It's like it flows when it moves. This long, lithe body. I suppose similar to a ferret or a weasel. Except this belongs to the group of animals known as the viverids or the Viveridae. And the weasels and stoats are what we call mustelids, Mustelidae.
Elephants behind us.
Elephants behind us. Oh, hello. Lovely big elephant bull wandering through. I looked away for a second, the mongoose was gone. Jumbo Tembo. So quiet, these elephants. Okay, let's go and talk to the elephant. Excuse me. Somebody asked about parrots yesterday. There's a parrot squeaking somewhere behind us. Bye bye, little mongoose. Take care. Sway your day away. Oh, sorry. Daniel into a buffalo thorn. Morning, young man. Sneak up on us like that. I'd put him at probably around 20 odd. Just getting into adulthood. It's really incredible how quiet they are. And I think it's the fact that they're so quiet that makes it such a peaceful experience being in their company. And sure, they can get loud and they can get boisterous and they can get a bit rough with the trees at times. But in a situation like this, got this little patch of open grass and he's just wandering through. You can only wonder why humans can't get along with them. Here's a baby jackalberry. Hello, baby jackalberry. Probably about 15, 20 years old already. It's not the greatest angle because he's going to be coming from the sun. He stands still like that. He stops chewing. He stops. It's almost as though and it's quite likely that he's stopping and listening to other elephants. And the other elephants that we saw a little bit earlier could quite possibly be communicating with him, and vice versa. Trio of fork-tailed drongos that are following him through the grasses. We'll be seeing a lot more of that as the insects start getting a little bit more and more scarce going into the dry season. Actually, there are 4 drongos now. And they're all cashing in on the amount of insects or the improved hunting conditions for themselves as the elephant moves through the grasses and chases insects, flattens grasses and makes it easier for them to get in there to catch things. And occasionally we're lucky enough to have these birds follow us when we're off-road sometimes. Funny enough, mostly when we're with the elephant we get the drongos just taking advantage of us too. Cool. He's heading for Elephant Plains as well. MB. coming moment for the morning. In his twice the size of this one. Meantime, and flip. Franklin. Elephant should be coming out there sometime now. Something been lying down. Is this rhino that's been here? Elephant lying down rather. Tracks of a lone wildebeest. I wonder if it's not our bull that's come looking for his females here. They have been here before. There have been times when they were lying closer to Gowrie Dam and to closer to the lodge that the wildebeest moved onto this open area for a day or two. And then when the lion moved off, they went back to the open area near camp. I hope we haven't lost them. They've become a feature of ours. They've become, well, they're a familiar sight. animal. But it's not the kind of smell that one would find. It's not like the kind of leopard scent mark smell. It's the actual animal smell. It's that smell of damp fur. Lex was saying he had leopard tracks around here this morning. Just gonna investigate a little bit. Yeah, there's leopard tracks with the cubs heading north. Do a big triangle. So this would be the same tracks that we had at Treehouse Dam, and the reason why they weren't on Philemon's cut line, my guess, is because she came up from Treehouse Dam and just walked straight through the bush, which means that she was on a mission, which means that she was in a straight line. She was going somewhere in particular. Now, that would be when she's taking the cubs back to a kill, or if she's moving them one place to another. She's got a destination in mind. So North Up Zoe's would put her somewhere on Gallagher, shortcut somewhere, maybe up that way. Might be an idea to go and have a look in that part of the world. We do want to go back to not Gary Main, Guatella Access Road. I want to go and see if we can find that herd of elephant. Then she could be anywhere. They didn't follow tracks up Zoe's Road. It could also be that she took a shortcut from here through to Impala Road. That would have brought her out more or less where that mongoose was when we stopped there with the mongoose. She didn't stay on the road, even though she was coming north where the big torchwood is. She's no longer on the road here. My guess is she cut through the bush. That would take her to also Powerline way. But then again, we followed her there too. Followed her in a straight line through Powerline and then through to Gallagher shortcut. So that's a good idea. I think we follow that route. Any update for Western Gowrie? Okay, I don't know if you copied, there was a small group of elephant on Guatella Access Road, just east of Aubrey's Road.
Okay, copy, thank you.
And also a magnificent bull with them. Ndlovu, Tembo. If Karula did have a kill somewhere and she did go and fetch her cubs, take her cubs to the kill, and that being the reason why she'd taken a straight line, well, it could be anywhere in here. And the problem with her is that unless there's an immediate threat, she doesn't seem to take her kills up the trees that much until nightfall, when she knows the hyena are going to be coming around. Spends most of her time on the ground, so it could be 10 yards off of the road. We wouldn't know. Hello, Shrikes. What's the commotion? Not a verbal commotion, it's just a collection of birds. There was a grey hornbill here too. Almost as though they were mobbing something. Magpie shrikes, what's in it? Oh, it used to be long-tailed shrikes. Still a few alarm calls. Maybe a snake. Suspicious goings on here. There's still shrikes that are alarming, and it's over a fairly large area. If it was a snake, it would be concentrated in one spot. Unless there's a raptor or maybe a ground predator, and they'll make that kind of noise for even a slender mongoose. It's buffalo. Big buffalo. Coming for us. We'll just have to wait for him then. Come, big boy. Bring it on. Actually, no, I didn't really mean that. I was only joking. He said no too. very interesting thing I learned yesterday, day before yesterday, about an Italian self-taught seismologist who had a theory about predicting earthquakes based on positioning of planets. And there is a bit of an alignment of planets at the moment. Now this gentleman died in, I think, 1979. But using his own theory, he predicted a number of earthquakes. And he had the Italians leopard track going down to the dam. Lion track coming up. That would be then maybe going down the power line, that leopard, onto Gallagher. We'll go to Gallagher. Maybe we'll do Aubrey's. Let's go and see if we can find these elephants. Anyways, so he had Rome and, well, I guess most of Italy in a panic. Well, not him, but his predictions did, because he predicted that there would be an earthquake on May the 11th, 2011 or something like that. So the whole of Italy was in a panic that there was going to be this earthquake, because he had been correct in so many of his previous predictions on earthquakes. And instead of there being an earthquake in Italy, there was actually an earthquake in Spain. So there's got to be some basis to his prediction. There's got to be some basis to what he seems to think is one of the reasons why there are earthquakes, other than simple tectonic plate movement. Right, now there's an Impala in there. Looking that way. Ah, here we go. A little bit closer to the road. Don't know if it's the big one. No, it's a younger one. Another one in there. It's a little bit more open, at least. They have moved into a little bit more open country. Oh, what is that? Is that that's not an elephant noise. Morning. Where's the big one, young elephant? There's the big one. Back on. Sneak forward. Didn't mean to intimidate this little boy. There's the one tusk female with some youngsters. No, that's still not him. It's a bigger bull, but it's not. Whoosh. for you too. Still not the big one. The monster. The boss. Might have crossed even. There are tracks here, but that's going back in to the right. So one of them came out onto the road and went. In fact, a couple of them looks like it have come back onto the road and then gone back in. Would be nice to find the tracks there, some fairly big tracks. But it's not the big ones tracks. They were on the road actually, they did come out onto the road and then have gone back in. This is where we turned in just to have a look at them, and their tracks are on top of our tracks. So that shortly after we were here, they came out onto the road. Morning. I think he's in there. I can see someone quite tall, deep in the back. Hmm?
A lot of bulls in the street.
Yeah, I'm just thinking that now, that there are a bunch of bulls here around this family group. And they're not more than likely just socializing. If anything, it's quite likely that this very big bull has come to talk to these females. See if it, I don't know, if he's in must, if with any of them are in estrus. It might just be that they're females he's mated with, and these are his children. And the reason why there's so many other bulls here is because very often, the very old bulls, big bulls, will have young bulls tagging along with them, what we call askaris, their guards. And to a large extent they do actually perform that function. They do, to some degree, keep danger away from the big old bulls. danger being us humans, of course. Isn't that funny? Yeah, there is one on our left somewhere. This one's listening to it.
Oh wow.
What?
It's been moving in the background. The enormous stuff.
Maybe somebody to look out for later today. It might just be that he's staying in the background on purpose. Can I move to get a better view of him? Is he also moving that way still?
Yeah, he is moving in the left to right direction. From behind that thicket.
It's not a case of the bulls never have anything to do with the herds. And most of the time when we're seeing the cows and the calves, there might be one or two bulls, adult bulls, tagging along. And it can give the impression that the female herds and the male herds don't really have much to do with each other, but it's not really the case. There are times when the bulls will stay with the herds for lengthy periods of time, enjoying each other's company, and very often knowing that it's their offspring that they're with. This big bull, I mean, he's tall, this guy, but it'd be interesting to see him next to the very big bull. Let's just move back a bit. Relax, little boy. I don't really like the vehicle starting up like that. But that's also not him either. That is a big bull. But that's not the bull. There's the big one behind him. Maybe there is. So this bull's got temporal glands leaking a little bit, so he could be in must. But he is big. This one, he's actually intimidating the smaller bull now just by coming closer. But that man at the back there, boy, his left tusk is quite impressive. Even this bull's tusks. This bull reminds me of my friend Joseph, except Joseph's tusks came together. They curled sort of in the front of his face. But yeah, there's that big guy at the back there. And your curiosity is getting the better of you, little boy. The one who's been startled by us a couple of times just from starting up or moving around. Actually coming out onto the road for us. And that lovely one-tusk female bringing her children out. Young. 3 generations of children. Okay, he's going to come up here. He's got a very tatty left. Oh, he's incredible. Okay, first we got this bull. He's going to come and say hello. And then we're going to get the very big man. And he's not even that tall, he's just a monster. This guy's quite tall. He's quite a handsome young man, this. Probably mid to late 20s. A very tall elephant. Move back a bit more, because they're going to come out, and I want them to come out in front of us, not behind us. Two more big bulls to come across the road, so there are quite a few bulls with this lot. At least I would say 3, maybe 4 family groups. And got to be, there's even another big bull in here too, so there are a bunch of big bulls here. Oh no, there's a truck, he's gonna delivering fuel or something. Elephants are not gonna like him. And this bull is also, he's a big bull. This one that we have now, but he's dwarfed by this other monster that's here. I'm not going anywhere until we see him, but I'm just going to have to move off of the road for this truck and hope these elephants don't take it personally that there's a big truck here in their land. Relax. It's okay, madam. It's okay. Don't worry about him. He's gone. Big truck's gone. It's just me now. Me and the giant elephant that's about to come out. He's got an incredible tear in his left ear. Reminds me of an elephant. An elephant I once knew called Mandleve, who was a very big tusker down in the southern part of the park. But there's this little funnel, we stood right in their path at the moment. An area that I had to move in to let that big truck by. So it's going to have to move again. There he is. His head is about as big as the cow in front of him. And she's an adult. Okay, we're just going to have to stay. They can go around this false marula perhaps. Although we're not at a great angle, are we? Let me just move. Let's get... give them some space to come out onto the road. There's just a little gap in the bushes here where I'm guessing they're going to want to come through. And this is going to be rather interesting. So just going to position ourselves. So with that big bull moving, he's kind of positioned. There's a lot of subtle play going on here. The big bull in the road now is kind of being moved on because the big old man is coming through now. Here he is, look at this. Oh, he's magnificent. Can you maybe look at me perhaps? Oh, he's incredible. Oh my word, he's like the grandfather. He's like
Standing here for
I reckon it's got to be the biggest elephant we've had around here in a long time. There's still even another big bull coming up. So there's at least 4 big bulls amongst this lot. But none, of course, as old as him. He's got to be close to 50, I reckon. That left tusk of his, maybe about as long as me. Makes this big bull look like a child. Wow. In fact, he looks like a mammoth. He's stretching high, stretching up to reach a marula branch. See if we can get to see that. I mean, he's got to be almost on his back legs reaching up there. Now we're not going to be able to follow them much more. Although there's power lines not too far ahead, maybe we'll catch them on the power line. It'd be nice to come back and just take a measurement of his track, because he's got to probably have the biggest feet of any elephant we're going to find in this part of the world. Trying to avoid baby knob thorns. Look at that. So they're heading in a straight line for, I guess, Impala Plain, Zoe's Road. They might do a big loop and go around to Gari Dam at some point. But now, once again, getting to a point where we can't follow them, they're going through some pretty thick stuff. We can put our nose in. Oh, it's just making too much noise. But yeah, there's not really much of a wide enough gap to get through there for us. But that is really special. We've got this incredible elephant with a whole bunch of his buddies here on Western Gowrie. What's he going to do with that baby knobthorn? Pull up the whole tree. Here I am trying to avoid them, and he's just taking one at a time, an entire tree in his trunk, as young as it is. Use his tusk to just snap a 10-year-old tree. Definitely someone to look for later today. Now, didn't really get a chance to try and gauge his height or try and guess his height, but let's just go back. We'll have to just leave them for now. What? I'm speechless. I really am. It's been a while since I've seen such a big, magnificent elephant. And just so calm and peaceful. It's almost like everything today is in this really slow, calm mood. Go slow day. Let's see what size feet he's got. We were there, he came out. Unfortunately, it's not that distinct. Let's go a little further. So we're looking back into the sun. Time of the day when suddenly the cold goes and the warm comes. Okay, so let's see. Start with a piece of string. Where'd my string go? There it is. And we'll see if we can find his track. You know, sorry. You know that if you hold your arms out, tip to finger to the other tip to finger, that's actually your height. I don't know if you knew that. And the easiest track that I had was down in the soft sand. Was down in that soft sand just off of the road. And well, it was almost it was his back foot, his oval back foot. It's about this much round. Okay, it's not precise. I suppose we could take maybe a little bit off of that because the string wasn't exactly straight. But this is almost my length, which is 5'9" or something. Circumference. So what was it? 2.5 times circumference. That can't be, because that makes him 15 feet tall. Almost. Not quite. I don't buy it. But then it wasn't really a very accurate measurement. I should try and do it just with a tape measure. No, it won't work. Not long enough. Sorry, I got sidetracked. Wires hanging out underneath the car.
We should go back to that tree
Yeah,
and
we
measure
should.
the height of that elbow.
Yeah. Don't have my strings long enough. Yeah. It is. It's about my length around. And if for those of you wondering what I'm doing with a tape measure around my neck, I'm an elephant tailor. And I'm measuring an elephant for a pair of pants. No, I'm not. I'm joking. Being silly. An attempt to measure an elephant's circumference of his foot, and a particularly large elephant at that. 60. Call it about 68 inches. Well, that's what I said, 5'8", 68 inches. About 18 inches wide, and it's about 24 inches long, that oval back foot of his. Unbelievable. Unbelievable. Okay, let's go and let's go and let's go. And what, I don't know, the last few minutes of drive, go down to the dam and down to quarantine, see what the impala are up to, maybe the baboons. I don't know if any of you were watching now with Tara yesterday. Pardon? I want to go measure the elbow. Okay, if my string's long enough. With the baboon family, the baboon clan troop. And the new baby. It was just such beautiful interaction there. The other children were just so engrossed, so interested in that little baboon. I hope these elephants are going to be around. I mean, if they carry on in a straight line, they're going to be going the same route that other bull went earlier on. And eventually cross Triple M and leave our land. Now, not a particularly tall elephant, but he is, no doubt, the biggest elephant we have had here in a long time. They might actually come through onto Zoe's Road. In fact, they probably make their way around to Treehouse Dam even by lunchtime or within the next hour or two. Now you noticed he had a broken right tusk. It would have been incredible to see what that tusk would have looked like based on his left tusk. Horizon is looking a little bit smoky. I guess there are fires already. With the cooler temperatures, people are going to be making more fires. Oh, what a beautiful lizard. I don't know how close we're going to get. I hope it's going to stay there, sunning itself. Time of the year when reptiles are we're going to have some luck with reptiles. On this termite mound is a lizard. Missing a bit of its tail. It's one of the ornate scrub lizard or the striped sandfelt. It's got that very distinct yellow barring and yellow stripe. I might have to just see. I should have brought my books. Don't know why. I normally do have them here all the time. But a lizard that we don't, is very much like that slender mongoose. If we do see these lizards, they a fleeting glimpse as they run across the road and disappear into the grasses. They're very, very shy. And the only time we're going to get a chance to see them is cold mornings like this when they want to warm up. There's still a lot of feeding to be done. Still a lot of insects around. And the lizard needs to warm up first. So let's move on. That's really pretty. Sorry. One, two, three, four, five, six, seven, about 8 warthogs. Morning, children. What are you all up to? And these generations of pigs. A big boar with a couple of sows, and a few of the youngsters. Ah, they're chasing off a young male, the big boar. Probably time to get that young male out of here. His own son, and he's chasing him off. Probably about a 2.5-year-old. Okay, we don't have much time. We're going to just go to that tree before we close down and measure the shoulder height of that other big bull that we had around. Yeah, last week. That young male wants to come back. I mean, this is his family. It's been his family, and he's reached that age when, unless it's just another adult bull, I mean bulls and bears and boars. No, we're not on a stock exchange now. And they're just competing, natural competition. But it looks more like he's the son, and he's reached that age where he's not tolerated anymore. And it's an important process in most cases of young males being chased out, because if they stick around too long, they can interbreed into their own family members. Right, so where was that elbow? Pardon? Yeah, it's down there somewhere. Wasn't it that one? That's a bit too high for an elephant's shoulder. Kind of thing. Was it a terminalia, or was it a? It was a terminalia. It was that one. That one, that elbow. Okay, just before I say goodbye, we're just going to quickly have a look, see. So we'll have to do it this way. So you can stand up. measure it to the car, and I'll measure it from the car down. Unfortunately, we didn't measure his footprint, but this is practice. There's an elephant up there. Could be another elephant through the, something brown through that gap. Might just be dead leaves. Anyways. Okay. So. Yeah.
So it's about this high, eh? This
Yeah.
elbow.
Okay, so to my tip of my finger, okay, that's 1.5 meters. And another 1.5 meters.
3 meters.
So he's, yeah, about 3 meters. This is what, 10 centimeters extra on that. So 160, 3.2 meters. That's a big elephant. Because he's, yeah, the top of his shoulder blade was up there. Anyways, come to the end of our timeout. It's been a peaceful morning. There's an atmosphere of quiet and calm today. In the breath of wind, it's a bit hazy and smoky. It's wintry already, I guess is the word for it. My name is Mark, and Daniel has been with me on camera. Siyabonga back in final control. Join us again later today, about 3 o'clock Central African time, for our PM Safari. And from all of us here at Wild Earth Safari, goodbye, good night, see you soon.